emotional infidelity.
Yep.
So we both have had instances of seeking outside of each other for support, what have you. And we wanted to share that story to hopefully help others who may be experiencing something similar, help you to avoid it, or to help others get past it and heal.
Yep.
All right, so who's going to go first?
Yes, I can go first. I think it's around the same time.
It was around the same time. It was all kind of interconnected. So,
I was thinking about it when we were talking about this, and I know one of the things that happened for me was attention. That was the time when I got the booster,
mm-hmm.
and it was a real nice bike. It was Hayabusa is a high-end crotch rocket that everybody loves. You know, it's very popular. And I got one of those that was custom painted and it was made, custom out. And that bike got a lot of attention. And for me, um, that was attention that I was not used to getting. And so that was one of the things. And then we had, the kids growing up, we were just going through the motions. You were going through the grad school.
Right. I had finished my first grad school program. And it was after that one when I made the comment, for the first time in my life, I could take care of myself.
Yep.
And not really thinking about how you perceived that, just thinking that was the first time where I could take care of myself. And then...
And I can say that I honestly, I had a fear. I had a fear because, my thinking was, well, she's going to get around these educated men because she's in education and meet somebody that had a little more intellect than I did. I had 1 year of college, but I mean, I'm pretty much a high school diploma. And so, I mean, there was that, that line of thinking that I developed. So, like, she gonna get that intellect and leave me. So, hearing her say that, that was like, where the hell did that come from?
And at the time, I say that came from an innocent place, just an acknowledgement, but I could have had some ulterior motive in saying it, just because we were in a space where we were pulling away from each other.
Yeah.
And like you said, the kids were younger. I was in school. I had an issue with the motorcycle, not that specific one, but just period. When you got your first one.
Yeah.
So.
And that wasn't. I just brought the dang thing home.
No, you told me. You told me. But that was a point of contention with us. And so you said you were getting attention, and that's kind of what led to the discovery of you communicating with this other person. There was a Facebook post, and I think that, I don't know if it was she posted, I think she posted a picture, and you commented and complimented, but then she replied and you replied, and those subsequent compliments and comments crossed the line. Exactly. And I confronted you about that. Which you didn't, it didn't go over well.
No, it didn't. Well, I think we were, the usual agree to disagree, or those type of responses. Just, well, we'll just, this is a discussion we've had. We'll just sweep this past and we'll keep moving.
And the discussion being, he's a friendly person, and I'm not. I'm more of an introvert, and so he was popular in high school and has a lot of female acquaintances from school, from previous jobs, what have you. And my insecurities were, just low self-esteem and things like that. And so it's like I was waiting for you to figure out that somebody else was a better fit for you than I was. And so, there had been previous comments that you had made, and I couldn't understand, why are you commenting on these people's pictures? Why are you liking these pictures? And not like Instagram models or celebrities, because that wasn't an issue. It was people that you knew. And so I'm like, that opens the door to connecting with people that you have an open line to.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened. And I did the suspicious wife thing, and I looked through your phone and found messages back and forth, and eventually y'all exchanged numbers, and there were texts back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I confronted you, and
we discussed it, and you basically said, it's on you. What do you want to do? And so I had to do some reflecting on how I needed to move if I wanted to make us work.
There was one thing that came out of that. You said something about missing your dad. And so, and it really didn't occur to me then. At that point, I almost felt like it was just an excuse you were using because you had done something wrong and you were caught.
Yeah.
And that was not the only thing that you said. I mean, there were other things that came up. And it was when my mom passed that I realized the amount of grieving that you go through losing a parent.
Yeah.
And so we got married the year after your dad died. And because I wasn't aware of how significant that loss was, like when his birthday would come around, when Father's Day would come around, holidays, the anniversary of his death, like I never realized the toll that would take, especially with you. You're always putting the best face forward, and you're always so optimistic. So you're, shutting down those things. And I didn't realize that. So at the time, I thought that was just an excuse. But then it took my mom's death for me to realize that, you were truly grieving and still had to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so.
And I honestly think that, not dealing with that in a proper way, not dealing with a lot in the proper way. Because there was a lot of loss that I experienced, and I just pushed back to the side, like, it's no big deal,
Right.
And so I wasn't dealing with a lot of that trauma.
And so one thing that came out of this also is that I pointed out to you that we post pictures of vacations, we post pictures of, the house, the cars, and things like this. And there are some people who see those things and think, I want that, and if I get him, I can have that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that every single woman is like that, but I'm saying that there are some who are.
Yeah.
And so where you see the act of I'm being nice, or this is, somebody that I know from my past, I'm just being cordial, whatever, they may see that as an opportunity. And I think that's what this woman, I personally think that's what happened.
Yeah.
And the motorcycle, she had a picture of her on a motorcycle that you commented on. Yeah. And that was a connection that she had with you that I didn't have.
Yeah.
And she was able to use that to spark that connection.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that one of the things that got to me that really let me know that things had gone too far is there was a text exchange between the two of you, and it was like good morning type text. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so to me, once you get to that level of connection where you're like, that's when it's really starting to go overboard.
That could lead to definitely when you're concerned about another individual's day or morning, it's definitely it's line crossing, and especially I'm not reiterating the same thing to you.
Right. Like, it is being hidden from me, and I'm not getting the same right. Yep. And so that went as far as what?
As far as the conversation, we never did do anything. It was just conversations on the phone, and that's as far as we went. We talked about getting together, but that never happened. So, and once we talked about it and discussed it, you told me that I needed to get rid of her, and I did that, and dropped full communication with her. I didn't call her, deleted her number out of my phone, and all that stuff. So,
why didn't you said there were times where y'all were supposed to get together? What stopped those times?
Just it never really lined up. I didn't see. Well, I mean, even though those things were going on, I still wasn't willing to risk anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I was just like, yeah, you got an opportunity to get away, but I don't. I'm not gonna leave my house. I'm not gonna come tell you, well, such and such need this, so I'm gonna check on. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. I think it was more so, if it makes sense, more about the chase than it was the action. You know what I mean? Like, not the chase, but
Do you think that it was like a "I still got it" type thing?
I think that was going on too, along with the attention I was getting with the bike, and having those underlying conversations that that I didn't need to have for sure.
Right.
So I definitely believe that was hey, I still got it. I think a lot of people experience that.
And because we were being open and honest, I had the same type of experience, and it was close to the same time. So I had gone to I'd finished one graduate program, and I started another one, and it was during that second one that I met someone who was in classes with me. It was exactly what you were afraid of, is that I was going to be in school and meet somebody. And so, and it started like with email, because within the class, we had access to everyone's email. So it started with email, and then text messages.
So how far did that get for
you? Emails turned into text messages, and then eventually phone calls. So he didn't live in our area, but he would come in for classes. And we would see each other in class, but we weren't open. No one knew, but we would like sit in class and kind of send messages back and forth and stuff or whatever. But and then eventually phone calls.
And I remember I don't know what the situation was. Were we into it about something and you told me about it, or did you just tell me?
I can't remember. I just
I know we was in the garage.
that dang garage.
That damn garage. All the shit happened in that garage.
I may have just told you, and honestly, there may have been some see how it feels to it.
I think I'm sure that was.
It was probably some see how it feels. So knowing me, I probably just came out and said, I need to tell you something. I think that it had gotten to a point where, so I remember one day leaving work, and we would talk on the phone. He asked me one time how are you able to talk to me on the phone? How does he let you talk to me on the phone so much? And I told him that you worked a swing shift. So the times when we talked, you would work. And then when I would leave work, I would talk to him on the phone on the way home. And I remember one day being upset because I was talking to him and you called, and I had to answer the phone for you. And so I was upset about that, and I knew then, okay, something's got to give. And then, like I said, he didn't live where we lived, so he would come in town and stay in a hotel for the weekend for classes. And you were at work one night, and he tried to get me to go out to eat and come back to his hotel room with him. And I knew that was a line that I wasn't going to cross. I knew that I wasn't going to put myself in that type of position.
And I think that's honestly, like, I would talk to her when I was at work, and as far as, I don't think I ever talked to her. I know I didn't talk to her at the house or anything like that, or may have been to and from work a time or two, but it was mostly at work. And I knew that I didn't want to cross the line. And even during that time, when I was conversing with her, I got wind of her having conversations with somebody else too. It was, I definitely stupid on my part as far as even going there.
Well, and that's those missing things. So you didn't feel like you could communicate with me about your dad. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe she had lost a baby. So you didn't feel like you could communicate with me about that. And for me, like the self-esteem issues, feeling like I wasn't right for you or enough for you, and then to have someone tell me what I felt I needed to hear. But if I'm not communicating my needs to you, then it's not fair to blame you for not.
And I think it's easy to get to a point, and I think that was what, they talk about the 7-year itch. That was about what?
It was
10.
Yeah, it was
10
more
to
than
12 years, somewhere in there. And it was like, you're going through the motions. You've got kids. You've got, you're in school. I'm working. You're working. Going through these motions and not really being meaningful about the communication. Just talking about, we got to do this, we got to do that, but not having meaningful conversation with each other and being able to, express ourselves and how we feel.
I remember and this was when I graduated from my first graduate program. I'm thinking that's when it came out that you were communicating with her, because we had a 2-hour drive and we argued we argued and then we talked, because my thing was, we're about to go down here with family and friends, and what I'm not going to do is be fake. Yeah. And we need to decide what's going to happen with us. And it needs to be real. It needs to be authentic, because I don't do fake. That's too much effort and energy. Yeah. And we came back, and then I started the graduate program, and we ended up going back down that road again.
That was a bypass of coming to an understanding.
Right.
Just bypassing.
Right. We just...
It's that kicking the can down the road, and eventually, you're going to run out of room to kick the can, and you're going to have to deal with it, deal with the emotions.
You have to pick up the can.
Pick up the can and put it in the trash.
And so, how do we now prevent those things from happening again?
Well, I know for me, it was a learning lesson for me as far as how I move. My movement needs to be, if I'm on social media and I'm posting my family, I'm happy and I'm proud of you guys, and I'm proud of our marriage, then I need to move a certain way to where it doesn't look disrespectful to you. There are comments that can be made, and there are likes, and we even had a situation where I made a comment on a female's post, and that turned into a lesson for me, because guys, we stupid at times. We'll do some stuff and it doesn't mean anything, and we don't think about how that affects you guys. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we just have to learn how to move and not make it look like I'm trying to disrespect you in any kind of way. So that was one of the things that I learned. And then plus with maturity and growing up and realizing, once we were able to better communicate, and that helped us get through those things too. But it took going through that to understand. And I think, that, by us being friends before we got together, I think you and I probably, in a sense, not to say, took advantage of the fact and said, okay, well, she gonna be there, he gonna be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that, when you get to that point, it's like, well, then I ain't got to work on nothing. You know what I'm saying? And in reality, you do. In reality, you constantly have to work on things to grow. Each phase changes. Each phase of life, there are different changes. There are different, you get a better job or I get a better job. There are different aspects, and the kids grow older. And my biggest thing was, you said, you told me several times, well, I can do bad by myself. And that was something that I never wanted for us to end. And I never wanted us to end in a way that I hurt you in the worst way. You know what I mean? So, I had to grow up. I had to mature and learn. And we even had that conversation. I'm learning how to be a man. What you say?
Same. Hey, I'm a year older. I'm learning how to be a woman. I think so. I've gotten to a point to where I used to be apprehensive about, because of how I grew up. Conflict means somebody is leaving.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be an easy leave. So I don't like conflict. And I would come and I'd ask you things, or, I'd check the phone, check the Facebook, whatever, almost looking for stuff because I didn't want to be caught off guard.
Yep.
And now I've gotten to a point to where I used to be like, I don't want to ask him this because I don't want to bother him or whatever. No, I'm going to ask you if I'm feeling uneasy about something. I'm going to talk to you about it because I can't have that sense of unease.
Right.
I need to feel like you want me. And so if I'm feeling like, if I'm questioning anything or whatever, I need to clear that up with you, because if someone comes along, if I feel like you're looking elsewhere or you're losing interest and someone else comes along and says the right thing, that puts me in a vulnerable spot. And so it's, I'm asking, I'm sending text, you okay? Is anything you need to tell me? And you have been patient with me as I become more secure in myself.
But and honestly, the checking in, that gave me the understanding that you are concerned. And I think that lack of checking in probably made me feel like,
Well, I also know that you've always been more comfortable and secure with our relationship than I have.
Yeah.
And so I think that it really caught you off guard that I would even entertain someone else.
Yeah. That was definitely a wake-up call for me. And even though I thought that, it was possible, but to know that it happened, it was like, okay, bro, you got to step your game up. This is not that I thought it was a game, but, this is not a game.
Well, and that was one of the things that, and maybe that was some of my intent, is because you always had this security there that I didn't have. And so maybe I wanted you to feel like, yeah, I did. I wanted you to realize, no, it's not a guarantee. I maybe went about it wrong and for the wrong reasons, but here we are.
It's not always.
So we learned that communication is important, and that means that we talk to one another, we check in, we ask questions. If it's very uncomfortable, we send text, we write letters, but however we need to communicate what's going on, we do it.
Yep.
We affirm each other in our relationship and make sure that we know so that others can know that we come first in each other's lives.
Exactly.
And I know with the like and all this stuff online, he couldn't understand why it got to me.
Yeah.
That was at a time when I really, and I'm like, what do you like about it? Like, and so for me, I'm like, if that, like, what does that even mean? And instead of you saying, and you said, well, it doesn't mean anything. But instead of you thinking it doesn't mean anything, so I'm going to keep doing it, you respected me enough to say, well, she does, even though I don't see anything wrong with it, I'm going to stop because of how it makes her feel.
Right.
And that makes me more secure
and
in our
also,
relationship.
It's almost like, okay, if I didn't mean anything bad, then why even send me shit? Why even like whatever?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Or one time you told me, and I know this is you, and I get it, but you said, if it makes her feel better because someone says, she looks nice, what harm? I want people to feel good about themselves. And that's beautiful, but not at the expense of me feeling like, whatever. Now, that's not to say that I was right in the situation and you were wrong, because that was evidence of me need to work on self-esteem and things like that.
Yeah.
But the fact that we meet in the middle, that you realize that I'm in a place where I need to be given that reassurance.
Yeah.
So you change that behavior to reassure me. At the same time, I work on myself so that I can be, more, have more higher self-esteem and see my value as well. And so we can meet in the middle. And now it's not a thing. We've gotten to a point to where, I don't look for those things. I don't question those things because you've made it clear to me that you are in this and that you're.
And I don't need that attention. That phase of life is crazy. Thinking back on it now, it's like you realize that sometimes you realize what you think you need at one point in time is not really what you need. And then when you go through a situation like that, like, thinking of, okay, well, what is the possible outcome? Thinking about what could have happened.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be together now because of some floozy that I made a comment about. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's just, and then, the experience taught me from the inside male perspective, especially looking at this individual and how things turned out with them. It's like, shit, I almost messed my house up because of that. You know what I'm saying?
And that was one thing we got into it about because I explained to you that there are women who they see all of this and they think I'm gonna ease in.
They may not even want it all. They may just want a piece of it.
Right. But you had a lot of kids.
I didn't understand that. Just me being the person that I am, I don't understand plotting and scheming.
You don't.
And how some women can probably take something like that and just turn it into something. And those guys were stupid and we'll just fall right into it sometimes.
I know. I remember telling you, you got a lot of kids. I hope y'all love each other because when me and them kids get paid, all she gonna have left from you is love.
She gonna have to. Look, I can't do it.
We still together.
Yep. But that's just being real about it, y'all. I mean, everybody's gonna go through that wake up call of that. What is your I still got it, or what is it been, or what is it gonna be? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, at the end of the day, is it worth
it? And just be mindful that, something that may be innocent in your eyes, if your partner sees it differently, then you probably need to respect what your partner is telling you.
Yeah.
Because you always want that person to feel like they're first.
Right, exactly.
And nothing or no one should, come before or above that.
Yeah.
And that was what, I think for you especially, there are a lot of things that you have you've changed or stopped or started because you knew that's what I needed to know. You were there and you were vested in us.
Yep.
And you've done that. And I appreciate that. And because of that, we're at a place now where I don't need those things. Because of that and because of the work that I've done on myself, I don't need those things anymore.
And both of us, getting help and seeking therapy has helped us understand why those things even happen.
Right.
Because, without therapy, we probably wouldn't even, I'm not going to say I would repeat it, but,
we definitely wouldn't be as close as we are.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So that was hard talk number 1.
Yep.
And we will be back with another hard talk. We've decided to be open and vulnerable and share with you some of the things that we've experienced. We know that a lot of things we put out there, it looks like it's all rainbows and sunshine, but we've gone through some storms to get there. So we'll be back.
Even though we know it ain't going on, that shit's still uncomfortable. Just talking about it, you know.
It is, yeah.
The emotions of it, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Thinking back on those emotions.
Right, it is.
Still uncomfortable.
And you asked me earlier if I was going to hit you.
Yeah, I sure did.
A couple of times. Thought about it, but.
All right, y'all. Well, until next time, we will holler at y'all.